have been quite reluctant in, for example, participating in joint patrols in the South China Sea and so on. But of course, India is concerned about maritime security because 55% of its trade goes through the South China Sea, for example. And as we can note, India is now the fastest growing economy in the world. Let me move on to Australia very quickly. We have some very close friends of China in Australia. We have former Prime Minister Rudd, for example, and former Prime Minister Bob Hawke. And these two gentlemen have been promoting the idea of Australia being very close to China. But at the same time, of course, Australia has to consider its traditional alliance and partnership relations with the United States. Now, lastly, we have Russia. Russia obviously is now preoccupied with domestic issues. It is focused more on Europe, especially Ukraine. It sees itself as having a more enhanced role in the Middle East, in particular Syria. It has developed closer relations with China and military cooperation as well. It is, in some ways, promoting rapprochement with Japan. Now, for example, there is the idea of cooperating in developing the Northern Islands, for example. And the question is, will Russia be paying more attention to the Far East in the future? Now, lastly, impact on ASEAN. I think all this would have, obviously, a certain impact on ASEAN. Firstly, on the development of the ASEAN community, the EEC, for example. Secondly, on ASEAN centrality. The question is, what is Mr. Trump's view on ASEAN and the Asia-Pacific? Would he come to the EAS, for example, towards the end of 2017? And then there is a question of ASEAN connectivity and ASEAN unity, cohesion, and neutrality, which have been covered by Dr. Surya, I think, when he talked about increased interaction among major powers in the region. And of course, Professor Chen also talked about intense competition in the Asia-Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. C. Rashdam. And I think that what a focus that Mr. Tan Si has focused, it's not the institution itself, but it's related to behavior of the leaders, especially when the two gentlemen talking about the situation when Donald Trump coming in, the political atmosphere in the Southeast Asia, ASEAN region might change. This is one of the things. And the other thing is, he talked about several major powers. Japan, you see it, Japan's today related more closely to Russia. You see that last week Putin just made a visit talking with Japan. This might be one of the indicators that world situation might change. China's role in Southeast Asia still maintained, even though China didn't do anything, provoke anything. But the situation between China and Philippines is one of the things that we have to keep in mind. So eventually, the concluding statement is going to be impact of the several major countries to Southeast Asia, in which if you look to the second session, we'll talk more about micro-analysis of the Southeast Asian country. So I would like to move on to Professor Surachai Sirikrai, who is will talking about the role of the major power in this region. Please welcome Dr. Surachai Sirikrai.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I would like to look at the future of ASEAN policy by analyzing Mr. Trump's policy during his electoral campaigns, because the U.S. have been the key player in this region for several decades. And then I would like to give some suggestion to what the ASEAN countries should react. First, when I listen to the U.S. presidential election campaign speeches throughout the past 10 months, I was shocked and surprised, greatly shocked, because the two candidates criticize each other over each one mistake, about, each one misbehavior and unlawful, conducts. Neither one of them talk about political philosophy or direction of future global development, nor did they propose how to maintain peace, stability, in order to elevate and expand the standard living up on human beings. Although both of them talk about fighting the ISIS, but neither one of them provide any detail how to do it. Neither one of them talk about global value or public goods. So it seemed to me that both of them are no longer interested to be the world leader or to see America as the world leader anymore, especially Mr. Donald Trump, who has been elected by the electoral votes. To my analysis, first, Mr. Trump wants to make America, not the world. He wants to make America great again. It reflects his narrow national interests or nationalism, not globalism or universal values anymore. Second, when he asked NATO, Japan, South Korea to increase their military budget in order to be able to protect themselves, and particularly asked Japan and South Korea to build their own nuclear arsenal, it means that the U.S. would stop being the world hegemonic power or the world leader and accept a multipolar system or a new type of great power relationship that President Xi Jinping has been asking for, but maybe not the type that President Xi Jinping had been expected for. But at least, I think Mr. Trump going to allow, a global system to change from hegemonic power system into a multipolar system. Third, Mr. Trump wants to negotiate with President Putin of Russia and presidency of China. It means that he accepts the reality of the world in the 21st century, that America is no longer, a global power or a unipolar power or American century. So we can expect, because of the rise of China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa, or the BRICS country. So we can expect that, Mr. Trump going to allow, a new type of multipolar power system, to rise up in place of the old one, and such a new world order might create, instability and conflict. And it also means that Mr. Trump willing to, discard American previous president policy namely Mr. George Bush, who declared, American New World Order after his victory in the Gulf War in 1991. So we're going to see that, Mr. Trump is going to discard the so-called neocon policy of George Bush and going to replace it by a new set of neocon nationalist policy by Mr. Trump policy. First, when Mr. Trump declared that China manipulated yuan currency and steal jobs from American workers, so he want to tax Chinese product 25%. He also discouraged American company from foreign investment in order to keep the job in the United States, as well as to create more jobs for American workers through infrastructure development, including to revive American coal and steel industry in American Ladprao. It means that Mr. Trump is going to pursue mercantilism or protectionism, in place of the present free trade policy. And so it is obvious that Mr. Trump does not want to see America to play a role of world leader anymore. Mr. Trump, is no idealist, but a realist, who admit that the 21st century is a new world of global diversity, a world comprised of many great powers that are competing for their own national development, for sovereignty, national interests, rather than striving for a lofty idea of world peace, stability, and equal prosperity and humanity. So it reflects his background of being a businessman that turned politician, who see America as a failed state under globalization. He thinks that America had lost out in the global economic competition. So he wants to get the job back to the United States and to make America great again by turning to an archaic ideology of nationalism, protectionism, and racism. So this is so we can see that, this new chain of American foreign policy, it will have a great impact on international relations. Especially, we know that all those archaic conviction of, nationalism, protectionism, and racism, all of them have been a major cause of international conflict and war in the past history. So we have to guard against this cynical conviction of Mr. Donald Trump. So in order to, because it will raise the global system into an unstable, multipolar system, and will force ASEAN to adjust its policy as the following. First, I think that ASEAN should seek a new type of power balance in Asia-Pacific among regional power of China, US, Japan, India, and Russia. So we have to readjust ourselves immediately. Second, ASEAN must establish a new group of free trade area, by expanding the RCEP to cover APEC member, minus the United States, in a new, free trade area in Asia Pacific. And Third, ASEAN itself has to strengthen its integration among its members closer and faster, especially in terms of economic cooperation, in order to make sure that ASEAN will not be affected by American mercantilism. Fourth, in security aspect, ASEAN must prevent nuclear arms race in Asia Pacific by encouraging Japan and South Korea to develop their own nuclear weapons, by encouraging North Korea to denuclearize its nuclear armament by negotiation. And fifth, ASEAN and Asia Pacific nations have to develop a rule-based regulation among themselves and among their allies, together with the EU and other ASEAN countries, in order to ensure that justice and fairness among the unequal members will be, on hold. And lastly, ASEAN had to uphold one China policy in order to maintain peace and stability in Asia Pacific, because the Taiwan issue is an old one that has been divided country in Asia Pacific in the past and up to the present. But I think it's still necessary that ASEAN have to uphold one China policy in order to prevent the clash, a head-on clash between China and United States in this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, I have seen one of the small article written by Paul Krugman. He said that the title of the article said that U.S. should learn from the fall of Roman republics. One of the things that our panelists mentioned about the situation in the world, especially we tend to look at the characteristic of the leader, especially Donald Trump, and whatever happened, I think today everybody focused on the behavior of Donald Trump, and Professor Surashai mentioned that he's the one who will change the world situation. The question is, U.S. is no longer a unique power anymore. Is that true? This is one of the things that we have to look into it, because it's too early to make a concluding at this moment. And the second one is this. If Donald Trump said what he had said, it means that world political situation might, according to my knowledge, might be calmed down because it's geared into the mercantilism, like Professor Surashai just mentioned. And that means that the world situation in which I think is very heated up, the situation in Syria or elsewhere in the world and Southeast Asia, we don't know, might be cooled down. And the business agenda will be one of the things that we should maintain. According to our rule, I think we might have let's say about 5 to not more than 10 minutes to cover up the things that you might, miss at the first place. So I go with Professor Shen. Please, if you have something to cover up or say something about China or ASEAN situation. Thank you. Please.
I would like to say something about the ASEAN's choice in the future. Yes, the ASEAN as an regional organization has created many normal codes for this region. Even China and the US would like to accept it. This is a very important factor to maintain this stability of this region. But in the future, as China and the US become more confrontational, the ASEAN will face a challenge. I think the ASEAN should be more flexible in the future to try to maintain a flexible balance to maintain its neutral position in these two major powers. It will be very difficult, but I think in the past 50 years, next year, the ASEAN will celebrate its 50th anniversary of its foundation. I think the ASEAN has developed many political wisdom, and I believe that ASEAN can handle this challenge in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I respect your keeping timed up because I have told that we have to finish at 11 o'clock, so it's just a few minutes. Please, I would like to hear Professor Tan Sri Rajtam say something. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. The question of whether ASEAN has to remain neutral or not, I think should not even arise, because I think it is in the interest of the major powers, be it China or the United States, especially if we're looking at these two, it is in their interest not to have to force any of the ASEAN countries, or for that matter ASEAN, to take sides. So it is in their interest to continue to pursue their legitimate interests in the region, be it economic or strategic and otherwise, but at the same time to ensure that there is full respect for ASEAN centrality, that ASEAN will continue to be cohesive and united, that the ASEAN countries, the ASEAN member states will be able to pursue their own vision of building the ASEAN community. Thank you.
Professor Sureshai, please.
My last comment is that ASEAN cannot sit still. We have to do something in order to prevent the Sino-US clashes in this region, because it will be damage and harm all the interests of country in this region. I think, you know, it will put pressure on ASEAN, because ASEAN 10, you know, it's a big organization, you know, it's important regional organization in this region. So I would like to see ASEAN leader play more active role in maintaining peace and stability in this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because one of the things that I have my own suspect that the constructive engagement is one of the things that we believe in. But when talking about the issue with the Myanmar, it's make me, you know, have some guess. But anyway, it's not the topic that we are talking at the moment. So finally, I think according to time, we finished the first session at this moment. And thank you all of the panelists. And please give them a hand, please.
Thank you very much, all the panelists and also our moderator for this session. May I please invite all four to have a photo session on stage, please. And may I please invite Associate Professor Dr. Prabhat Tepchatri, Director, Center for ASEAN Studies, Thammasat University, back on stage for a photo opportunity, please. Once again, thank you very much, Ambassador Tan Sri Rajtam Mohamad Isa, Chief Executive, Institute of Strategy and International Studies, Malaysia, Professor Chen Hansi, Deputy Secretary General, Guangdong Institute for International Strategies, China, Professor Surashai Sirikrai, Faculty of Political Science, Thammasat University, Thailand, and also to our moderator, Associate Professor Dr. Shaichana Inkawat, Faculty of Political Science, Ramkhamhaeng University. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Prabhat Tepchatri. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to take a quick break for 15 minutes. Refreshments and snacks will be served at the front of Grand Ballroom A. And we will come back with another topic of Global ASEAN and the evolving regional security architecture. We will come back here at 11:15. Thank you very much and enjoy your break.